that?
That's the only number where I am on the phone.
Okay, welcome. We're going to come into work session. It's 5 o'clock. And first topic is board calendar. Okay, there'll be a lot tonight, since a lot of tonight's agenda items are related to 2021, so I'm going to be doing the old handoff to Michael this evening. So, Michael and Tandy went through this calendar. My fingerprints are on this. He's the new superintendent, and they put what they developed, this specific calendar for this evening. So, without further ado, Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about this proposed board calendar.
Okay, got it. Thank you, everybody. So Jenny and I looked at this, trying to figure out what we could do. I know that we're still got a work session that Barry and the board's going to set up with me, and that will we did not add that because we haven't set that up yet. But then what will happen is we're just trying to come up with a time, and we might need to add some more, based on what happens with the reopening and how that will look. But right now we figured out some ways to make it work and make sure it's efficient for everyone. And if we need to add more, we can. But we did play with it a little bit to make it a little more user-friendly and to make sure that we maximize everybody's time and resources as much as possible. Is that about right, Candy?
Yep.
So the board have any questions about it? Concerns?
I just spoke with Corey, and she said that if I could voice her concern, that she would be appreciative, and she would prefer for the meetings to move to Monday. When she asked for them to move to Wednesday a couple years back, it was due to football, and so now that's over for her. And she also took on a new bank, which most of the meetings have moved to Wednesdays rather than Mondays. So she said she would love it if we could move back to Monday. Although if you're moving it to one meeting a month, that would work better for her. So if it goes to 2 meetings a month, we're going to see her in a lot of absences. But if it remains at 1 meeting a month, Wednesday or Monday are fine.
So, you now have a child playing football. That would be on Monday.
I always say, keep doing this and
The only thing I would have to say about it, I've been on the board when we've had 1 meeting a month, and it worked just fine there. I mean, it worked here, I thought, and then also in the prior board, when it was possible. 2 meetings a month worked for me. I'm fine with trying 1 meeting a month again. And my only concern, Michael, is it seems like we've started getting into email voting more frequently, even with 2 meetings a month. And so I don't care for that. I think that's the appropriate way of doing it. And so as long as we keep away from email votes, I'm fine with either process.
Probably can't be 100%.
It's going to be better than where we were. I mean, we were having 2 meetings a month and we were still getting email votes in between. It shouldn't be like that.
I agree with Justin, and I think sometimes things do pop across someone's desk, and that would be that once in a while, hey, we need this, and it goes out, but not a regular basis. And I'm flexible for either day. So I'm good with either day.
Michael, I got a question for you. With 1 meeting a month, I assume this is what you're used to or whatever. How long are the board meetings? Are they pretty long?
A little longer. Yes, sir. You guys have been doing that. The last couple of meetings have been phenomenal to watch. All the reports and everything less than an hour. Once a month it goes about an hour and 45 to 2 minutes. Because there are a lot more questions. Also, too, though, I do send out major Friday updates, so there's no voting on that. I agree with Dustin's thing. It's very important that we don't have email votes. I mean, there will be an emergency, but I really want to make that the exception. I think that's a bad message to the public out there. They think that's a lot of things happen behind closed doors, and that's something that I know that the board does not want. It's nothing I don't feel comfortable with either. So I think the key thing on this one is that we know that's happening, but if we have, like, we get to facilities coming down the road, and we see that we're gonna need more time for input, that we can actually schedule a special meeting, but I don't know, if you guys are okay to try once a month, that's fine with me, but I work for you, so once or twice is up to the board, whatever needs to happen.
The last thing I would say is, Michael's coming in, is that we're gonna hit it here with us, and we're willing to give it anything a try, and if it doesn't work, we'll change it next year.
Yeah, that works for me.
Or each try.
So only suggestion I would say is November gets crazy for me. It's like school November. So it looks like the optional is October. November was switched. That's
Oh, the work session in October and the meeting in November.
Yeah, it is a work session in October.
I know I'll be in June. No, we can't say everybody's.
Sorry. I just wanted to add, it is hard to hear Darwin. I'm not sure if he's quite near the mic close enough.
Okay.
I respect you as well, Don. Sorry.
Yeah, we were kind of discussing, I'll let you know.
Yeah, November's just tough for me. I think I was reading the calendar a little bit wrong too. I've not seen the colors and everything, but November's just tough because I'm never around in November. So.
I will mention too, though, that November is the month. I think Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but November is the month that OSBA comes out with, I think, one of their big policy updates that you need to get right. So that's kind of why you do the work session beforehand. It looks like the work sessions are kind of in the lines of the policy adoption cycle. So just kind
That's
of
what we're trying to do to make it more efficient for the board. That way you don't see it twice. You get it right up front, and then we can say, here's some things that need to be modified or looked at.
right.
Also, too, OSBA conferences in November, that week of the 11th there through the end. That way it's going to be virtual. So that might be a time we can really get some good feedback from everybody. It doesn't have to be the whole board, but that way the board can even look at it later and make sure we're caught up to date, which I think is the most important part, get the information out.
Any other discussion?
I just had a quick question, hearing that was online, the virtual school board conference. Is there a price tag associated with that, even online?
A great question. That's what they're working on right now, and I have not talked to Jim Green recently. Maybe the email I got last week just said that it's been 9 days ago now. They actually said that they're going to go online because they didn't know until then. So they are going to have a reduced cost for it, of course, to come back, but they've never had that before. So what they're doing is they're looking at a package, which I think might be more efficient in the way it is well. A package, So like sometimes board members don't have to, you only might want to go to 1 or 2 sessions. So that's one thing they're going to get back to us on pricing for package. We suggested that to them. Hopefully they'll follow that because, some of the sessions really are not applicable to the board. They're more towards a business manager. The whole day there, Janet, we'll be able to get online for that. And there's some on superintendent boards working, about looking for the bond. So that's something we're asking for, rather than have a whole entire package, maybe just have, 3 or 4 modules. So we'll see what happens, but we told them it doesn't make sense to charge us the whole price if no one's going to be there.
Gotcha. I definitely participated in the Survey Monkeys that came out. They did it for the summer one and that one. So
Yeah, that's it.
I also suspect the school law conference the next month, I imagine, will end up the same way. So more district employees may be able to do that one than we've done in the past because of like I said, I just can't see anybody wanting to have a large group. At least every other legal thing I've dealt with this year was on virtual just because of so December the same thing may happen.
Yeah, I would anticipate that. I think you're right. We actually did a first small school conference here in May, and some of our, Lane participated, and everyone else did actually presented. And that was the first one, so we were very proud of pulling off the first one. We found out that we wound up having about 500 some extra people who jumped on there. So we're looking at some pricing there, and we actually, sad to say, but we actually made money on the conferences. Don't tell the whole world that.
So I guess we put this in the consent agenda. If you want to amend it to Monday, I guess we would some sort of thing.
No, I say we leave it for vote on it the way it is, unless you guys see any. I think it affects Darwin, it's gonna affect Corey, obviously. It's gonna affect somebody.
I think she's fine with it though, because it is gonna be once a month, which is gonna be easier for her to work around those Wednesdays.
Okay, well then we have placed it on the consent agenda, so we'll have consent agenda this evening. There we go. Everybody here, Will? Can you hear me?
All right, I guess we're done all the topics.
That's all I have. Michael, did you want to talk about the governor's order today?
There's something happened today, I have no idea. So I'm sorry. When we put that today, I missed it.
The governor released her order, executive order, related to school year 2021. And basically, she has mandated all the specific things that we talked about at the last meeting.
Okay.
The restrictions of OHA. So she basically says school funding and everything will be conditional on school districts following the health guidelines.
And she said, however, those health guidelines change based
Yes.
on those organizations.
So anyway.
So, Mr. Chairman, I could talk a little bit about that if you guys want me to, about what we do with our admin team.
Sure.
Okay, I'll take a couple minutes. I won't go too long with that, but, and the admin team's on there as well, and Will was a real part of it in the beginning. We made calls that morning, it all runs together. We made calls on Monday morning, and they said that, she said she wasn't going to budge on that. And then it turns out it was somebody to mandate exactly what she said. What we're doing now, and Susan has a great plan put in place. Wayne has a very good outline, and Chris, so we got the outline there. We talked about it. So what we're doing now is we're putting an outline together. What we'll do is send it up to the board here in July just to look at the outline. And then we're waiting, because every 3 weeks they're going to change it. So once they change things, then we will add planks to it and put the scaffolding in. There's so much out there right now, and we're concerned. We're very happy they went to 35 feet because most classrooms it works better with the math. But the buses and the transportation is our number one concern that we've heard about. And also, we can work with food service. We're trying to figure out ways to do that. So Susan has some pretty good plans. I'll meet with her next week to go through the entire building. This year her plan really covers how we can keep the cohorts in place and maybe use some of our retired teachers. We discussed also getting some staff, volunteers things, and if we might have to give them a creative way to get around the volunteer status is to pay them a small stipend, so that way they're covered by our insurance. So we'll talk to the board and make sure you're way up to date on that. I don't want to go into too much detail, but right now we can't use volunteers. But if they are on our stipend, there's no other benefits we have to pay anything, but that might be an option for us to make sure we maximize our community, which is very supportive of our school district and our kids. So that's something we can look at. We just want to make sure we'll keep the board up to date, but please know this is a living organism. And what's happening is they're changing things as we speak. And of course, the governor is not going to go against the Oregon Health Authority right now. That seems to be the powerhouse there. We were able to meet with the two officials from our county, so we're going to meet with a good relationship. And that's Julie and the other world.
Actually, Judy Clark and Joe Harlan.
That's it. Thank you. So we met with those two the other day, and so they're going to help us out a lot, and we're going to make sure we get some good partnerships there. But it is going to be a very fluid process, and as we get more and more there, we'll make sure we accommodate it. Some of the things just don't seem to fit our county, as we know, so we're going to push back pretty heavy on that as a team to make sure we're on united. We'll make sure the board's included on that. We'll get to the board the final plan so you can review it in August. And then what we'll do is make sure that people are communicating. We also have a survey going out here in the next couple weeks to all of our community, and that's at 35 cents a kid. And that's going to give us some great data so we can make sure that the board is up to date with it, and also our community is up to date with it, so we can make sure that we make the sound decision as possible. So that's a pretty quick summary. I apologize for the speed, but I don't want to take too much more time on that for you. Any questions you may have?
We got 15 minutes still, so we're really got time. So.
Great. Well, I just want to make sure the board knows that the admin team, we had a very good meeting today, and Bill really set up some great things for me to meet everyone. I really enjoyed that, and I got a lot of notes, and we had a plan, and the admin team met, in the afternoon. We had a great time. We had a nice lunch, and we sat down and hammered out a lot of things, how their operations and things like that. So it's very important. I also admonished our administrators to get some needed vacation time there in July, because we're going to have to hit it pretty hard.